unfunded budget actually anticipated one
language skills and increasing over the years.
Place where it's kind of and she ended up, well, it's like just everything.
Working in Afghanistan, we drill water wells for the U.S. Army on forward operating bases, so our military has showers and dining facilities and everything. So yeah, working in Afghanistan when I got the call. Yeah, it was late in the day because it was early morning here when they had got the call, and so we were just kind of finishing up for the day and getting everything ready to wind down for the night. And phone rang, and actually I had a message, and it was Jim Layne, and he said, "Hey, I really need to talk to you as soon as you can." So got a hold of him, and we had been talking. Obviously, we watched since the day it collapsed, we'd been watching it on the internet. And then to think we would actually get the call was, we talked about going, but never thought we'd really get the call. So it was pretty exciting for us. We landed in Santiago, and immediately we had an hour and a half. We caught a flight to Copiapó. Got off the plane in Copiapó. They picked us up. Two of us, Matt and Jorge, basically stayed behind at the hotel to get some sleep because they were going to come in that night. So we went up, Doug and I went to the mine, showed up and basically laid out a plan. Everybody was just getting started. We kind of laid out the plan and went right to work. So it was very somber walking onto that ground knowing that there's 33 guys trapped down there that can't get out. You know, we set a goal. Matt and I sat down, we talked about it, we put our plan together, had our strategy, and we set the goal of 30 to 40 days that it should take us to drill this. We jokingly said early on, if it takes till Christmas, we shouldn't be in the business. This is obviously something that can be done quicker than that. But, you know, we didn't know how hard the rock was and how difficult it was going to be until we actually got there. So we had some doubts we would do it in 40 days. We never doubted we'd get there, but we weren't sure we'd make our goal. So 30 to 40 days was the goal. We actually took 4 guys from Layne Christensen Company, Matt Staffel and myself, and then we had Doug Reeves and Jorge Herrera as 2 hands that went with us. We're all 4 drillers to some capacity, but they basically asked me to put a group of guys together that could go over, so that's what we did. We took expertise from a number of different, plus Jorge speaks the language, and so that made it a little bit easier. But yeah, 2 of us worked nights, 2 of us worked days. We worked around the clock, and we ended up actually working, we're supposed to work 12-hour shifts. We would work 16 to 18-hour days and then just sleep at the mine in bunk beds. So drilling is a feel. So you have to actually be standing on the rig to where you can feel what's going on. The minister of the mines from Chile and I actually had a number of conversations because he couldn't figure out why I always had my foot up on the platform of the rig, and so we always went through how we feel that, and it's just a feel. So yes, you're on your feet the whole time. There's good vibrations and bad vibrations. That's how you know whether your bits are coming apart or they're cutting edge is actually gone. And if you run a bit too long, then it gets undersized, and so your next one won't go to bottom. You have to ream the hole down, and then by the time you're reamed down, you wear the bit out, you got to trip back out. So it's important to have that feel so you know that the bit's actually cutting. You know, every day we talked about it, we put ourselves in the miner's shoes. If we were down there and our families were up here, how would we present the day? What's the best method to get them out the quickest? So it was an incredible amount of stress because in a normal water well, if you're a day behind or you have a problem, it's not life or death. In this case, at any given day, one of those guys could have gotten sick and it could have been an issue. And so we really put the stress on ourselves to get this out, to get this taken care of so these guys can get out healthy. And so it was unbelievable amount of stress for sure. We breathed a little sigh of relief the day we got the casing set, because we actually ran the capsule to 610 meters and then back out, and it didn't hit the casing. The first night when we were sitting there watching, and everybody watched the same thing as a live feed, the capsule actually came into the mine and it had a rescue worker in it that was able to get out. That was huge, because we knew now the passageway was open and it would work all the way to the mine. That was a huge sigh of relief. Now the first guy up, we had kind of planned on, okay, this was going to be our celebration time, but it really wasn't. We sat in a room together, the three of us, and just kind of shook our heads thinking we were really part of something like this, and it's actually working. This is fantastic. So it was a very somber mood. You know, the rock was extremely difficult to drill. It was more abrasive and harder than we expected it to be. On the other hand, having the stress of 33 lives down there was just incredible on us. Obviously, when you add that much stress to your normal workday, and the drilling, there's always problems anyway, but adding that stress to it, it put us at each other's toes quite a bit. We were angry with each other a lot, and we just kept saying, hey guys, we can't argue over this. We just have to move forward with the best method. And so that was a huge obstacle to overcome. 262 meters, we hit a roof beam from one of the shafts, and it actually broke our bit. And so we had the face of the bit laying in the bottom of the hole, which we can't drill through because it's as hard as the steel we're drilling with. So you can't drill through it, you have to get it out. And so that created a big obstacle. It took us 5 days to fish that out. We did eventually get it out, and we're able to move forward, but those little hiccups really increased your stress level, because every day you're thinking that's passing, man, there's somebody down there looking up. So it was good though. It all worked out fine in the end, and so, but that was a stressful time, those 5 days. We knew that we were there. It was a huge sigh of relief. On the other hand, it was still very emotional, because we knew we still have 2,200 feet of pipe with a tool on the bottom we have to get out. And then there's still 33 guys trapped in there that this has to work. And so at that point, there was still a lot of uncertainty. We were sure that it would work, but until it actually goes down, comes back up, we're not sure. So you just never have that proof until it actually happens. They were feeding off each other. Those guys, they really did. There was great attitudes down there. There were some jokesters. There were some, mechanical guys. I mean, a great group of guys, and they all had a task. The foreman that was in charge did a phenomenal job of just making this work with all these guys and keeping their heads on straight, and really good group of guys. A chunk of steel had fallen off the bit, and so we were waiting for him to go get that chunk of steel to see what it looked like. And while we were sitting there, the guy we were with asked who we were, because it was a video conference, said, hey, is everything okay, and he said, no, man, the shampoo that you're sending down is really bad. And the guy's like, what, the shampoo? And he panned over, and they had taken all these socks and t-shirts and sewed them together, and this guy had this huge afro-looking hairdo on, and he was actually bald. And so they're like, look what it's done. And so they had a good spirit about them. They were joking around quite a bit. It was extremely personal, and we hope someday to be able to take the time to go to Chile and meet these guys. They're planning some kind of a reunion. We'd love to meet them and just talk to them a little bit and get to know them, because obviously we worked a lot to get them out, and they want to say their thanks as well. And so yeah, we're hoping to make it down there.